What is up, beautiful people? It's your boy Blessing, and welcome back to the Lads After God podcast. Guys, this is my first time doing a video podcast, so bear with me. I might be a bit jittery here and there. Still trying to find a system which works, but I'm super excited that you get to see me, get to see my creative process, how I do this. I have my ring light here, I have my notes on my phone, I have a camera finally, and guys, yeah, this is Blessing, by the way. In case you've been listening to the podcast for a while now and do not even know the face behind the podcast, this is Blessing. I am a child of God, a lad after God. I love the Lord with a passion, and I'm so happy and excited to be doing this podcast episode today. And today, guys, I just want us to talk about a topic which is very close to my heart today. We started with this topic with our very first episode of the year, where we are talking about embracing the season. Embrace the season. And as I was going through the week, it kind of got planted in my heart that usually when we talk about seasons, and especially at the beginning of the year, when we are looking forward toward the year, we hear it a lot where we're going to be talking about seasons of harvest, seasons of reaping, but oftentimes we shy away from talking about seasons of refinement, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the season of refinement, and how the season of refinement is actually a blessing in itself that so many of us are unwilling to accept or receive, and so many of us would rather live in softness, live in luxury, and live in constant just bliss, and not experience challenges or persecution. But we're going to learn today about how these challenges and the persecution and the trials, this is a necessary good which benefits us so much, guys. It's something which God has planted on my heart. I went through such a season in my life, and to some extent, every day in my Christian walk, there is a bit of refinement which is going on. And I just love it because it shows and it tells me that I am being prepared and I'm being purified. At the coming of Christ, when I shall be received alongside the bride of Christ, which is the church, we shall be received as pure and holy. So I just wanted to talk about that today. Let us read. Let's start this from reading the book of Genesis. Did I actually say the book of Joseph? Hey, I actually meant the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20. These are the words of Joseph. He was speaking to his brothers after he was reunited with them. And they were scared of Joseph because they had put him through so much persecution, slavery, imprisonment, and they thought that Joseph would be bitter because of that season that he underwent because of his brothers. You just imagine being thrown into a pit, from a pit to being a slave, from being a slave to being falsely accused of rape. And he was thrown into a prison, and from that prison he became a prime minister of one of the greatest empires on the face of earth in history. So these are the words that Joseph says to his brothers after that season of refinement. This is just imagine, just after I just went through that timeline of going through the pit and going through being falsely accused, and going through your prison, and from prison to being a prime minister. Just think about how much of an emotional roller coaster that could have been. But hear his words. He says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." I love that so much. He says, you might have thought that what you were doing is for my detriment. You might have thought that the weapons that you were forming against me, and the Potiphar's wife might have thought that the false accusations, and they might have thought that the slavery and everything was for bad and was for, Joseph's detriment. But listen to Joseph. He says, all those things, they worked together for my good. He says, you meant all those things for evil, but God meant it for my good, that people should be kept alive as they are today. So I just want us to talk about that sometimes we go through persecutions in life. Sometimes we go through seasons of not getting any answers, seasons of complete silence. And there's nothing worse in life than going through a period of your life where you feel unheard, you feel like you are insignificant. Those are the seasons of refinement that we go through. Sometimes you might be going through a season of rejections, where you're struggling to fit in anywhere. You're trying to apply, you're getting rejections. You're trying to get some progress, but you're getting rejections. Those are the seasons that we go through in life, which refine us and make us into people that we ought to be, who God in His sovereign wisdom, in His omniscience, He wills us to be those type of people. And let us read from the book of James chapter 1. We'll read from verse 2 to 3. He says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. So it tells us there's a necessary testing, there's a necessary it's almost like a refinement that is necessary, which makes us develop an endurance, and it makes us develop a steadfastness. You cannot develop endurance without pressure, without stress, without those that type of opposition over your life, without resistance. And that's the thing that I've seen. There's a trend of us as modern Christians. We reviled it so much. We actually even vilify God for making us go through that. I've actually heard people who, after reading, for example, the book of Job, they got to question God's character and said, is God really a fair God? Is God really a just God? If He were, why would He allow Job to go through those things? If God is a just God, if God is a righteous God, why would He allow, for example, the Holocaust? Why would He allow world wars? Why would He allow poverty? Why would He allow this? Why? But then we have to get to a point where we just say God is omniscient. He's sovereign above even our thinking. And we have to be like Joseph sometimes and say, God, we might not understand, but what we do know is that those things were harmful towards us. Those things caused traumas in us. Those things were meant to break us. But God, what those things were assigned to do, those weapons which were formed against us, they were meant to harm us. They were meant for our detriment. They were meant, for the bad. But you, God, you meant it for our good. And thus we count it all joy. It doesn't make sense if you think about this carnally, that I can be going through the worst moments in life where maybe I'm in a spiritual rut. Maybe I'm lacking in joy. I'm going through sickness. I'm going through poverty. I'm going through trauma. I'm going through whatever I'm going through. But the Bible says, count it all joy. It might come off a bit tone deaf, but it's actually something which we need to embrace and actually do count it all joy when we meet all those types of things in life, because there's a good work which has been done in us, and we will come out at the other side, refined, pure, and we will be a worthy bride to Christ one day. Let us read from the book of 1 Peter. We will read from verse 6 to verse 7. I'll read in the ESV version. It says, in this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes through it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. It is necessary that we go through testing in life. If you go through any manufacturing process, just think of your favorite brand. Maybe it might be a pair of jeans, a brand of jeans. Maybe it might be a car brand. Maybe it might be your iPhone in your hand or your Samsung phone or whatever, for you to experience it at its best, at its most, usable form, it actually goes through different types of tests. I remember back, I think it was 2016 or 2017, if I'm not mistaken, there was the Galaxy S, Galaxy Note 7, which after being released into the market, there were incidents of the batteries actually exploding, which shows that there was a bit of lapsing or ignorance when it came to the testing process. And the problem is that if you release something and you make it available without first making it go through the rigorous testing, the testing, they test things like the strength of the screen, where they do drop tests, they do waterproof tests, they make it go through different temperatures. It's rigorous. It's probably not the nicest thing to go through, but it is necessary if we were to appear as the verse 7 tells us, that you may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Christ. It says that we will be more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire. Meaning that even though we are going through the fire, for gold to be at its purest and most beautiful form, it has to go through the highest of temperatures. That's never nice. That's never something which you would even wish upon someone, but it is necessary. I remember there was this thing, especially on social media, which trended the other time. I don't know if you guys know that song by Maverick City, which is led by, I think it's Chandler Moore, if I'm not mistaken, where he sings that he wants to be tested, tried by fire and purified. The ironic thing about him singing that was that a couple of months later, his apartment caught fire. And so I remember that the chat was that, may this fire pass us by. We do not want to go through that. Most of the time, heading into the new year, we speak of blessings. We speak of seasons of harvest, seasons of all those beautiful things. But we shy away of from saying, Lord, I just want you to purify, put me through the test of life. Just make sure that Lord, you are with me, even though I go through the valley of the shadow of death. Be with me, and may I come out the other side still trusting you, still saying, Jesus, you are Lord. Those are the type of prayers that we shy away from so many times. But I want to tell you, and maybe you're listening to this today, and you're going through that type of a season where it seems like everything is going wrong. It's been persecution upon persecution upon persecution. It's been rejection upon rejection upon rejection. It's been, just being uncomfortable, being, stressed, being anxious. Sometimes it's even your physical body. You're going through a season of, ill health. I just want you to know that what the devil is doing in your life, thinking that will destroy you, God is actually allowing it, and He's allowing you to go through it because He is producing a steadfastness in you. He is making you go through a refining process. Nebuchadnezzar thought that the fire would destroy Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but even in the fire, God took the ultimate glory, because it was after they went inside the fire that the glory of God was revealed, and Nebuchadnezzar was actually able to see the fourth man and say, didn't we put 3 men in there? There's a fourth man that I see who looks like the Son of Man. So sometimes it's just necessary that we go through those periods of life. It is necessary that we go through those uncomfortable and painful moments in life. Yes, it doesn't make sense. It even sounds a bit rude and tone deaf for me to say this to you. Maybe you just lost a loved one. Maybe you just lost your job. Maybe you just had a relapse and you are struggling with habitual sin or something like that. But I just want to tell you that, God, Jesus, never promised us a comfortable life. He said in the book of John chapter 16, verse 33, He says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Take heart. He has overcome the world. He has already conquered. That's why even when we go through these things, even though we go through the fire, even though when we enter the storms, even when we go through different types of affliction, we have the solace that he has already overcome the world, and thus we too shall come out of the other side pure, refined, and we shall come out victorious. So take heart, dear lad after God. Take heart, dear lady after God. Be encouraged this evening. Be encouraged this morning whenever you're listening to this, that it is never good. It's never nice. It is never comfortable. It is never, it's never a nice experience to go through some of the hardships. And as we are entering into the new year, it is possible that some of us will be going through this. And in the life of a Christian is a life of persecution. It's a life of affliction, temptation. I know that the temptation to say that now that I've accepted Christ, all my troubles go away. That's often what we hear people preach and speak of. But now, what Christ told us is that he said, if you want to follow me, be willing to take up your own cross and follow me. And the symbol of the cross is actually a symbol of death. That's the worst case scenario. That be ready to even if it means losing your own life for the sake of my name, be ready to do that. And let's not shy away, guys, from the persecution of the Christian walk. Let's not at the slightest hint of persecution or affliction or just refinement, let us not just move away from God's grace. Let us be endurant. I really am struggling to communicate this, that it is necessary that we go through that, because it is a double blessing in our life. It is making us into who we ought to be in this Christ walk. Sometimes you might be going through something, you might not see it, but one day in hindsight you will say, it was necessary that I go through that, because now, like Joseph said, lives were saved. And you too, your testimony that you will tell one day, it will help someone who might be going through that, or who will go through what you have went through. Of course, no two situations or circumstances are the same, but you will be able to speak and say, I know and I have seen the goodness of God. And the goodness of God, often I've seen that for us to see the brightness of a light, it is often in darkness. It is often in a storm, where it is very comforting to see that lighthouse light. It is so comforting that in the darkness you see that flickering candle. So I just want to tell you that, yes, even if you might be going through that valley of the shadow of death, where it seems so dark, it seems so disheartening, and it seems so hard to even find the motivation to face a day, find the motivation to be positive, I just want to tell you that it all works together for your good. You will come out of the other side refined. You will come out of the other side better than you ever were. So take heart, dear lad after God. Take heart, dear lady after God. It might be painful to go through such things. It might not be actually the best thing to go through, but I just want to tell you that it all will work together for your good. And it might be meant for your harm. The devil might be saying, you know what, I finally got him where I want him. He will give up. He will curse God and die. And he will speak ill of his God that he claims to profess. But I just want you to say, you know what, I might be going through this, but you know what, my praise will not stop. My worship will not stop. I do not know what this year has for me. I do not know what type of storms this year has for me, but I know that my unknown future is known by a known God. He knows already, and he has said that he has already equipped us to face this unknown future. So just take heart, dear lad after God. Take heart, dear lady after God. It will all work together for your good. May God bless you. Love you so much, and thank you for listening to the Lads After God podcast. God bless you.